Okay, so what do you think, guys? What's programming?
Well, it's basically just a set of instructions in a language that can be understood by a compiler, I guess, and then it tells it to a computer, and the computer does it, and that's all it is.
Yes, that's a very good answer. It's the set of instructions which can be executed by a computer program or by the computer. Set of instructions. So when we talk about a programmer, is actually a programmer is a person who writes set of instructions, and those instructions will be executed and do some task. Okay, if we say so, do you think JavaScript a programming language? Because some people might not be yet convinced that JavaScript is not a real programming language, but we have to talk about it anyway. Is JavaScript a programming language?
I don't know.
Okay. Maybe let's just do it the other way. Is HTML and CSS a JavaScript, a programming language? Yes. Someone said yes. Another person said no. Now there's a fight here. Because we got two, yes and no. How about the others? You can just I don't think CSS and HTML. There are some people say yes. Okay, I think we don't keep this argument going forever, so we have to just answer. HTML and CSS are not programming languages. And I think I leave the answer for you. Why are not programming languages? Who would like to answer this?
Is it because like HTML or CSS, they're just like markup language, kind of there's an engine that just render the instruction? While the other, I think you have more freedom to create pretty much what you want. I think HTML, you have boundaries. I mean, everything is decided, right? You have a set of markup language. I think you can still extend it, but it's not as powerful as JavaScript, where you can have libraries and you can pretty much do, you can program something. While for markup language, it just has to cohabitate with a browser. I don't know. It's a complicated question.
Yes, it's a very difficult question, and it may lead also a very high debate, but we don't go that much far. I agree with Mark's answer because HTML is just a markup language. We have a predefined tags. We use that tag just to render something on the browser. We don't do any logic. We don't add any logic there. We just put things from top to bottom and we give it to the browser and the browser render and you get. We don't call this a programming language. If you want to protest for it, you can go. But it's not a programming language. So it's just a markup language. And there's already a predefined tags. We use those predefined tags to display something. And similarly, CSS, it is a style, it's a language which help us to style these predefined tags. So HTML and CSS are not programming languages, but some people might convince or might have convincing reason to say this could be this to be considered as a programming language, but just to have just a big picture, we don't write much logic when it comes to HTML and CSS, and we don't do much of a programming thing. But when it comes to like JavaScript, Python, and other programming languages, these are real programming languages, and you can do whatever you want. Yes. Yes. If you know one programming language, you can do almost everything. Everything you imagine. The sky is the limit. No limit. Sometimes, of course, there might be some limitation, but you could almost achieve anything. You have all this freedom when you use a programming language. So JavaScript is also one of the most powerful language. Most people love it. It's easy to get started, and you can almost build everything. And also when it comes to the job market, it's highly demanded. One of the most popular JavaScript library, React, is also highly demanded. After this course, I would strongly recommend you to start. React is the best fit after this course. Now, I think it's better if I take you to the materials which we are going to use for teaching. And this is my desktop. I think maybe there are some things which are just opened. Is it in the other screen? Okay. I will take you to my Git repository, and maybe even the, what is this? The video might not be important for now. Is it okay if I turn it off? You just follow the screen. And I think sometimes I forget to share the screen. You should remind me in advance because before we spend much time. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen actually. And screen one. So do you see my screen, guys? I have to ask because that's the only way I can be sure that. Do you see my screen?
I can see it, yes, at least on my side. Yeah, I can see Git. This is what you're showing.
Okay, so you see, yeah, so that means you see the screen. Great. The material we are going to use is, do you see this 30 days of JavaScript?
Yes.
Some of the time we may use this one, and sometimes also we may use JavaScript for everyone. Java. Everything is JavaScript for everyone. What? Everyone. Yeah, this one. This is the lighter version of the 30 days of JavaScript, and we follow this. But so it has lots of material, and it's just on one page. In addition to this, sometimes you also go to W3 School and just practice, because the W3 School is somehow interactive, because if you see it, let me show you, it's easy to read. You can try this. Even sometimes if you don't like, I mean, in the code here, you just destroy the code and you can write it in here. You can try modify, for instance, if you don't script. You can just write something here. For instance, if I just alert, hi. Yeah, you just try only here. So sometimes it's really good to try it there without going anywhere. So you can, even they have some quizzes. So step by step, it has next, but if you see the menus are like this. But this W3 School, it is easy to get started. The materials are easy to read, and it gives you a starting point. But the material is not very solid, and the examples are not real-life examples. Yeah, you can read it in just half a day time. Half a day could be shorter, but a day or two. But still, you get the idea how JavaScript works, but not a kind of working knowledge. Where can you get that working knowledge kind of skill? You get it from JavaScript for everyone, or 30 days of JavaScript. That's why I was providing you different 30 days of JavaScript. As you can see also, it's very popular. Globally, it has about 3.2 thousand followers. It's really, really very important and proven material. It changes many people's life, and it's really known material. So I would recommend you, if you have time, just dive into it, and even don't follow my speed, because you and I will spend only 7 days, about 4 hours. So that would be very short. So I have to read, there's some, what is the, okay. So this is the material. You get another material, maybe the official MDN, official JavaScript. This is the official documentation for JavaScript. It's a bit, sometimes it's hard to go through. It's not easy, but any information, whenever you like to get deep into that, this is the place where you should come, because this is the original, the documentation for JavaScript, the official documentation, and it is sponsored by Mozilla Firefox. Yes. Good. After I say this, I am not going to provide you any kind of PowerPoint or something. What you should follow is 30 days of JavaScript, or JavaScript for everyone. Those are the materials we will focus on. There are lots of extensive exercise. For instance, if you go to the JavaScript for everyone, you get lots of questions for everyone. Let me show you questions to, either you go to here, and if you see tests, JavaScript pretest 1 and something, you can practice them. But before you, don't come to this, because it will be, you will have just a very bad experience if you come without reading the material. So first, go through the material before you go to those tests. But if you just build step by step your level from the material, it will be easy to take those pre-tests or tests. For instance, have you seen there is exercise everywhere, small exercise, in every chapter. There is no answer for them, but actually if you see the example and the exercise are somehow similar. I give example and then again I ask a question after the example. So it's not very complicated. So I would, for instance, about string only, there is about 27 questions. So it's good to solve them step by step. Yeah, so there is question and examples in every sections. So today what we agreed to cover is actually first we set the environment, the development environment, and then we learn how to write the JavaScript. But before the break, let's start how to write JavaScript. And I hope you know this where I am right now. I am on Google Chrome. So Control Shift. When you write Control Shift, the console will open like this. Let me close it again because Control Shift I will open this for me. But maybe if that's also not easy for you, you go to right click, inspect, and then it opens for you like this, but I'm interested in the console. Of course, you see different. This is the HTML and the CSS part of Google Chrome, console, source, again, the different code of this Google Chrome itself, network, related to network, related to performance measure, some memory, applications, something which you learn. For instance, you might have heard of about cookies, right? Local storage, session storage, and the service workers, and all those things, you get them here. Something related to security, Lighthouse. Lighthouse recently introduced to check the performance. As you can see, performance, progressive web app, best practices, and search engine optimization. And you can also toggle it by a mobile phone or by a mobile phone or by a desktop. So you can toggle and change and check the performance of your site. Yes, so this is for you to check. This is not something we need because I am using Redux extension. You see, in your case, you don't see it. So, but now what we are interested is actually this. And again, I just close it and again show you the third time, or you can come here and more developer tools. It opened for me. And if you don't like horizontally, you can adjust it different position. For instance, you can adjust it this way. Actually, it opened it now in a more pop-up, but that's not what I want. Actually, lets me get it back. And to the right, have you seen? I changed it. To the left. Oh no, that's not something which works for me. Which works for me is the bottom. Now we're just messing around, guys. We're just learning how to use the console. We call this console. Yeah, we call it console. What is this console actually? If you remember, Anna said a program is actually a set of instructions which can be executed by certain program to implement or to do some task. So actually this console, this white area you see, it has the so-called V8 engine. This V8 engine is actually a machine which changes human readable code to machine code. I'm just I'm just writing for you to see it. So this helps us. But most of the time we will write here code. So this is the place where we are going to write code. Here you come. So let's get started. Our first code, console.log, and we open two parentheses. Actually, if I tell you function, you don't know what function is. But what I want you to do now, blindly remember console.log. And the purpose of console.log is just to print something out. Okay, but later in this course, we will talk about built-in functions and custom functions. Okay, for the time being, let me tell you, this is just a method which will help you to print out something. So I may say, hello world. Yeah, so what you need actually, two parentheses, and then inside that parentheses, you put something, an input. This is an input. So what are you expecting? I should see hello world. So you wrote your first code, hello world. Does it take many? Yeah, it takes actually multiple also console.log. Hello. For instance, if we separate it world, that means we can also write it separately. That means this method can take multiple parameters. Let me write. As you can see, I got the same result. The reason why we put quotation mark, as you can see, because it's text. We call it string, and we will come to data types later. What is a string? What is number? But everybody works with string, I mean text and number, so you should know what a text naturally. This is, so whenever we pass as a parameter, so it should be with a quotation mark. The quotation mark, it could be a single quotation or a double quotation. Let me try it also with a double quotation. Console.log, hello world. It gives me the same. Even you can do it with a backtick. A backtick, hello world. So now what you learn is actually how to print a text using the console.log. Does it take a number? Console.log 2020. Yes. If it's the number, yes. Can we add numbers? Console.log 20 plus 80. That's two big numbers. Some people do not know that. So let's make this. Yeah, you should expect that. Now it's doing calculation for us. Console.log 3 minus 1. You may expect it's going to be 2. Console.log 2 times 3. What are you expecting? 6. Console.log 3 divided by 2. Yeah, something what I didn't tell you when it comes to programming, star is multiplication. We don't use X, okay? Star is a sign of multiplication when it comes to programming language. Almost in all programming languages I know, multiplication is star. And this is division. In mathematics also we use this to express fraction, right? 3 divided by 2 And I believe you are expecting 1.5, right? Great, 1.5. And now let's also do another thing, console.log. There is called modulus 3, this. What is modulus means? Actually, remainder after we divide something, what is the remaining part? If we divide 3 by 2, there will be one remainder, right? Yes. Another example I want to give you, console.log, actually 7 divided by, or what will be the remainder? I want you to tell me the remainder. Seven modulus 4. No one? It should be. Okay, I have to see the answer. Yes, it should be 3. The remaining should be 3. Great. So by now you know what this operator, right? So the purpose of this operator is actually to store the remainder. And this operator is very, very important sometimes to identify even numbers. Yeah, to identify even numbers. If even usually, for instance, 8 modulus 2 is equal to 0. Whenever to equate to things, we use double quote or 3 quote sign. As you can see, 8 divided by 2, the remainder is going to be 0 because there is nothing left. 0 is equal to 0, so it is true. Now we can also Boolean. This is a Boolean operator. This is a Boolean data type, and we will talk about data type later, and we will also talk about comparison operators later. So great. Now you know how to use console.log. Let me see. I think before I move on, if let me just express, tell me if you understand how to use the console.log. If everything is clear what I did so far, because if I just move on, it might be hard for you to follow. Just show me yes, yes, or I'm stuck somewhere on the comment or verbally. Okay, I think everybody's following. So how about if we have 10 minutes break and then we will continue later, yeah? Yeah, shall we meet maybe at 7? Is that okay? Yeah? Yeah, good. I will stop the recording because it will be a separated video and then we will record the other. So I have to turn the video and the meeting off and then you will join again. Is that okay? Great. Yeah. See you after 10 minutes. Bye.